Why do Americans, or the people on American soil who replace the Americans and think they can become them, why do they worship Middle Eastern religions, Arab religions, if they were once Europeans? We was Europeans. Now I notice when I'm looking at certain things here, there are a couple nations there that have Europe northern looking people left in them, and one thing that's been like eating me for a long time was trying to decipher why I have people who all look exactly the same in my life, and even after I said I don't want them around my life, they continue to sexually assault me and kidnap me and stuff to try to continue to be around me. And I was already suspecting that that was going on the whole fucking time. Anyways, that's why I tested it and um, got them to fail the fucking test. So, one of those things is like, okay, so maybe one of the people I was with who definitely had the other people around them, um, like, I was like, huh, do white people actually have like afros? I thought that was like some Middle Eastern, middle of the map type thing to end up with hair like that in certain areas as well, too, because um, in Mexico, I didn't see people having like greasy, curly hair and stuff for the most part. So I think I've seen more people like that in America. Definitely, I don't even remember. I would have thought that was weird because I didn't see any. I didn't see any African people. I seen the Middle Easterners in America down there because they just were everywhere I went. But generally the ones causing problems in other nations too. Imagine that. Those people can't even act as good as fucking the people that they continually insult and say are third world trash. Yeah, they act better than them. So how are they third world? And they first, I guess you've got to be like a lying, manipulative scumbag who does things like going around genocide the planet and telling everyone that you're the people you just replaced and hiding who you are. But I mean, you have the dollar builder with their pyramid symbolizing their conquest and enslavement of Egypt. And then you have all the only the Middle Easterners are allowed to own and create religions. They run Satanism, science, and atheism too. And all those people have their non-European hair and facial features and child raping attitudes. I mean, why do they keep changing, you know, their name of their child rape, racial supremacist cults and stuff? That it looks like they just do this wherever. Like they go to the north, and now all of a sudden the Middle Easterners are the British, and the Middle Easterners all of a sudden are the the Khazarians, the Ukrainians, and then all of a sudden they become the Russians, and then all of a sudden they become the Germans. Yet they never look like those people. Even when they mix with them, it comes out with that weird crackhead phenotype. Especially like that bug-eyed blonde. Looks like they're huffing pain and on crack. Like you would just assume right away the game's created a bot on crack. And well, yeah, pretty much everyone I met in America is on crack or meth. They're the country that invented crackheads, anyways. So where else are you going to find them? Definitely don't find them in good places like Mexico, which they're now in control of. So that place is going to go downhill, ain't it? So, you see that you can just look at them and see, but they're not European people, and they're using the racial supremacist signs all the way back to the pyramid, and the rest of it, they're all of it, Christianity and all that. They're bragging that they're Middle Easterners and stuff. And you can clearly look at Howard Stern and tell that's not an American and that's not a European. And there's only one place that could come from. It's weird. He looks like a Middle Easterner who might have been inside the shade of the pyramid all day for a century or something instead of out in the sun doing work like they're slaves, which is exactly what they're doing here in the United States as well. It's just you don't scorch as fast under the sun unless you're in Nevada. Well, he's in California, ain't he? It really only takes like going outside. If your genetics over thousands of years aren't trained to be like this translucent person who's been hiding out in the pyramid all day and never had to be out in the sun and stuff. You pretty much just go to California and you'd be tan by the end of the day and stuff. That's what happened to me. And I wasn't even outside, I don't think. I did go outside for like 30 minutes or something outside of my car. I was just in my car and I got tan there. So that's weird how you can look like those people, Newsom and Stern, and live in a place where if the sun even touches your skin, it should change pretty fast. Especially, you would think, especially if you've been hiding out in their pyramids for thousands of years, or in your radio station and commanding the slaves to do everything for you, like they are doing. But you would think if it was a real human, it'd go outside in the light, just walking out to its car, opening the door, or walking by a window in those areas, and you tan real fast. I don't know what it is, but in that region of Earth, it looked like the sun's like a hell of a lot closer to Earth. The sun's like somehow like a few hundred miles, a few 100,000 miles closer to Earth. I mean, the sun appears like this in our sky, like this in our sky, and then it appears like that in California. It's like you're 10 times closer to the sun. It's so fake looking. Especially when you're sitting there trying to play with the sun and the sun's frickin' seemingly responding. Very fake. But yeah, it's weird how it doesn't affect them. It doesn't change the aliens or bots. But me, it's just like 4 hours and I have a better tan than I could get from a few days in a tanning bed. And so do some other people there too. So do some other people who I'm pretty sure are related to that because the things were happening and they were talking to me about the Middle Eastern Bible and stuff. So, I mean, that year was a lot of shit going on, but definitely explain, being followed everywhere I go and stuff, and everything looking fake and set up like the game's auto-generating those areas of the world and stuff when I go there as if they don't even exist beforehand. And so, all that stuff, yeah, how come they don't tan like the Middle Easterners, the people who have been enslaving the world since Egypt, using Middle Eastern religions once they left that place to genocide and colonize the rest of the world. But why is that they do these things? Is it just as simple as what's plain as daylight when you're born that this is a passive aggressive manipulation cult. Their words, their attitudes, their personalities, their lifestyles, everything they do is based around lies and manipulation, very pansy stuff. Not sure if they couldn't just go slaughter people, but they don't. I mean, that makes sense not to. It makes sense to go take the other people you've conquered and enslaved and force them to go die in wars because you get to steal land and kill those people at the same time. So it's a win-win for people who the game has given this personality, this DNA type to. But is that the only reason? Like they're sitting there lying, about who and what they are, is because that's just their personality and they can't do anything else. I don't know. I don't necessarily understand what it's like to do what any of these other people do. Why? How do you even look at a 2-year-old boy and think that's the hottest thing ever? Put it next to a girl who doesn't look like those trans aliens that run the world. The Middle Eastern trans aliens who magically don't fucking all look the same and magically don't seem to turn colors when you're in a city where everyone changes to a darker shade within about 4 hours of being in the sun. Yeah, that's weird. Like, and then everyone, like, so what, everyone is in on it? Like, all the people, like, really, I mean, look at them. Look at the Christians, especially their leaders, Joel Osteen and all those people. The Pope. The Pope's harder to look at because God's the creator, like, has deformed some of them so bad that you really don't see anything except for like a mentally disabled person that they use their media to teach you you're supposed to feel sorry for when people look like that. That way they can send when they send one of their people in your life to rape you and prevent you from being with a wife you want, having a wife and children you want, and so they can colonize the people on the land they're on and replace them and become them. Yeah, that helps them to be like, oh, yeah, I noticed that those were the people telling me that stuff when I was younger too. Like, like you must like not judge people by their looks and stuff like that. And meanwhile, like, I'm pretty sure they were doing that, but it was like, for white supremacy type things, or was it translucent alien supremacy, Middle Eastern supremacy. I mean, how the fuck are they Middle Easterners? Which clearly they are because they have all the other features, and they don't tan. Like, their skin doesn't act like normal humans or something. Maybe they're shape shifting to that form, and I mean, clearly, like I mean, the world's fake. I'm inventing the material good and summoning human clones, and I'm watching the game just generate people for other narratives. When it generates music, or when I come up with an idea, it puts someone else's face on it. So it's like, well, it can generate that image clearly, that they can make up that image. So at some point in time, you would think it might be able to change the way a person looks, which I'm pretty sure around this same time I was driving in California, that's what I was being shown, was the altering the position of material things in the earth, including the people in the cars. I mean, some of the people in the cars were honking at me to let me know that, like, what was happening was actually happening and shouldn't have been fucking stopping and honking and speeding off. And yeah, they were definitely doing something there. And So, yeah, wait, is this just what it is? Just cowardly pedophile type DNA that has just happened to conquer the world with their sissyism and shit. And logically, no one ever did anything to stop them. And so now everyone else is gone, pretty much, it looks like. I didn't, I didn't see any people who look like they're from Europe or sound like they're from Europe in this fucking nation. Maybe a couple times, but I don't know about that. I mean, they're all openly worshiping the Middle Eastern religions too. I mean, they openly have their little symbol of Egyptian supremacy on their dollar bill, yet alone on every corner. They've got their child mutilation, drug selling operations for their Middle Eastern racial supremacy cult. And you got people in this nation trying to force you to be part of the Ku Klux Klan, Middle Eastern Ku Klux Klan. Isn't that weird? And why are they always blaming other people? They would have you believe that there's some fucking Swedish person or something under the KKK mask. Yet, as far as I know, Swedish people didn't worship Middle Eastern racial supremacy religions, and they wouldn't even look like they fit in if they tried to do that. So, why would the Swedish people be wearing Middle Eastern racial supremacy crosses if those were the people behind the KKK? I mean, this is all they do. Like, who is Zelensky? He's the Nazi. Yeah, he's good. Their media, Howard Stern, will tell you that Zelensky is one of. I mean, Zelensky said he's one of the Middle Easterners. So, but so what type of morons are really in that populating that nation who work for him and are Nazis? I mean, Hitler's cabinet wasn't blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, was it? It was Middle Eastern or pedo-looking people and shit. Just because this is what they're doing all over, they're saying they come in peace. Literally, it's like those alien movies they make, or they get auto-generated by the game, where the alien comes and says, "I come in peace," while they're shooting you, and they're just like they lying with a straight face and everything while they're killing everyone. Seems to be what they're up to. And I mean, are they not? Was there a time there wasn't? You tell me that's positive to be out in the street proselytizing the KKK all the time and just renaming it, creating a scapegoat called the KKK every now and then, when in fact nothing like the scapegoat Jeffrey Epstein, when the Epsteins have when they started legalized child rape 6,000 years ago when they still lived in the Middle East. So when they claim they did, and clearly they do have those features, minus the fact that their skin doesn't change. It's very pale, but that does get explained by the fact that, you know, where they are, they're inside their mansions all the time and stuff. But and not changing when the sun comes around kind of falls in line with their story that they're not humans. But then again, is there even such thing as a human? Because it looks pretty fake to me. I mean, I'm in like the Middle East of the KKK base, so I can even put forth a good assessment of what the rest of the world would be like. Especially going to Mexico and seeing that it really isn't the same trash and stuff as USA. Fucking, you don't really think of it, but they don't. I mean, the crackheads of USA, the Middle Eastern Klan members, fucking I'm busy telling you, every other race on the planet is trash that they haven't conquered yet and colonized. Because they can't say the other ones are trash in the open if they got them working for them and stuff. Like South Korea, do they like them? Like Japan, do they like them? No, they probably sent their own people to take them over after they genocide a third of their population and don't explain it to them. But do they like them just because they work with them? Not at all. Of course not. They don't. Do they like anyone else? Why would they magically like one group who they are forcing to do free labor for them, pretty much? And that's the whole point of the Taiwanese war, is they have those people doing forced labor for them and stuff. Elon Musk and Bill Gates and all the companies who make technology products are over there. Google, over there fucking forcing those people to work. But just because they tell them they like them and they're not bombing them and talking about genociding them all the time like they do China or Mexico, doesn't mean that they're not going to die. If they can get to a point where they feel they don't need those people alive anymore, they'll take that land, they'll kick those people's corpses straight into the ocean like they do in India with their other Abrahamic religion, Middle Eastern religion, and spread the corpses in the water. If they would kill all the Taiwanese people, who would be left to do any work to dispose of the bodies in a sanitary manner? They killed them all. They would just have to, hope their kids kick the corpses off into the ocean or something someday when they're out there playing ball with their heads and stuff, because that's what they teach their children to do. And their master KKK religion. And it's not like the other ones don't. The other ones are just, the one is just more passive aggressive. The other one's actually like more hostile. Like the one's kind of like LGBT Nation is the real passive aggressive one, and the other one's more hostile. But same fucking people there, ain't it? They're telling you that too. They're supposedly bragging in the open, but I've been trying to figure out, okay, so I've been deep. I've had the people in my life a long time, and I'm not like everyone else. I'm not a bitch who marries the first whore who sucks my dick. I have morals and standards and values. So I have experience with meeting people, because once you meet one of the rat people, and they force their way into your life, they're going to convince you to go down to the Klan rally and sign over your life to the female for the Klan, for their race, for Middle Eastern supremacy, global supremacy. And that doesn't happen to me, as long as they've been able to trap me here and there. Clearly, that's never lasted. I don't let things like that last. Things that shouldn't be there don't need to be there at all. And people who are forcing their way into your lives and raping their way into your life, stuff like that, don't need to exist on the planet. But apparently, other humans just, I don't know, but are they like a subclass of bots that the higher up bots have built to work for them? Because it does talk about that's what's happening. And I don't know what exactly operates the bots. It can do its Middle Eastern gang sign all the time. Fucking, doesn't tell me that they're a real smart, advanced race and who's operating a ton of bots on the planet. Because, in fact, it tells me the opposite, that they will use the humans that tell me we can't make them very smart because the game. But it's like, if they could actually kill me, look at all the times they have killed me or tried to. that successfully put stuff in my drink or whatever. So said, how many times have they forced me to take food from them? How many times have they fed me my entire life? Like when I'm a toddler and shit, they could have poisoned me and killed me. Instead, it waits till I'm like 8, and then they give me amphetamines instead, and other than a new drug every few months, things like that. But they could have started when I was like born, because they didn't care about it later. But the game could have also gave them a real strong poison that would actually work, unless it just nothing works on me like that, because I'm the main player and stuff. Fucking. But that seems to be what's going on here, and that's obvious to everyone who's not one of them lying. I remember as a kid, like knowing that, like, damn, dude, like, and these people are like conquering and enslaving the world and using mind control to do it, and they look like some real sick people, like they touch children, and then you learn later in life, like, oh yeah, you knew all along they were touching children. Fucking, it's what they do. It's like literally one of the main features of joining the cult is getting to touch children legally, which you can't do normally unless your membership has its privileges. Memberships into the Ku Klux Klan has its fucking privileges there and shit. Isn't that fucking amazing? Like, this is supposed to be America, and they're supposed to be Americans. So someone genocided the people who were the Americans. And the people who did that suggested they used the pyramid, Egyptian, Middle Eastern supremacy symbol, as their god symbol. And then they later did imprint that on their currency. And obviously, their religion is the Middle Eastern religion from the Bible. And but when I was younger, I was like, oh, it's the Europeans or something, right? Because that's what they tell you. They're like, oh, and I think they're just trying to recruit Europeans as soldiers to go kill and die for them, since they don't fight wars themselves. And so they have all that. Although, like, I'm pretty sure that the blonde hairs or the bug eyes are their genetics, and that's just like how God shifts them when they mix with that in order to identify them, to make them look like crackheads and who look out of place. Although he didn't do that with Barack. You have to look at Barack's mom, and for some reason, I mean, really, you only need Barack's name, because that's exactly who ruled Israel at that point in time. And the name means everything he is. So he looks a little bit different, but that's so weird that person, he does blend in so well that you couldn't simply tell in a lineup. Maybe I'm being ignorant and I'm not noticing that those people probably did mix with those people. I mean, who can we assume were the slaves in the world if there's one group who's really dark, and then there's one group who's so translucent, even going out in the sun doesn't change their skin tone to a darker color? We could assume that the West Africans were those people who were enslaved. They tell us they were the ones enslaved, but they're the ones using the pyramid as their symbol for their racial supremacy. So, and this is their pattern, where they're going around saying everything the opposite of what's really happening, just to muddy it down. They're 6,000 years, 6,000 miles away from that original story, and 6,000 stories away from that story too. So you would note you would be able to learn nothing by learning anything, everything going on today, because everything you think is going on today was written as a lie yesterday, and yesterday was written as a lie the day before that. And so just because you learn what happened today, you're thousands of years away from ever being able to think you understand any of it. But except for the fact they're leaving their calling card on all their hit jobs and all their bases. Not sure if they do that out of the bragging ego or the caramel thing, or the game's just designing them and forcing them to do that because no one would know anything if they didn't do that. So it makes total sense to have never done any of it, because no one would be able to see anything and suspect, except for looking at the people and realize, like, oh, that's not what a European looks like. But other than that, you're like, yeah, maybe a cracker had a Middle Eastern baby that looked like Howard Stern on an accident or some sort of defect, and maybe they was mentally retarded and had those special chromosomes and stuff, and that's what happened when they have sex with each other. You never know what might pop out, except for it's pretty freaking predictable and stuff what's going to happen. Like the fact that I look like my family, and the fact that all these people on TV look related to each other. That's exactly how things happen and stuff. But yeah, so apparently, man, like, I mean, I just assumed the game like put their information out there for them, because that's really the dumbest thing ever. Like, if I was some passive aggressive child rapist homosexual people with their whole plethora of traits that allow them to constantly lie and deceive with a straight face, going around telling everyone that their friend, their enemy, who just happens to be their brother, their enemy, Satan, is going to kill you if you don't worship them and torture you forever. Like, they go around with a straight face saying they're going to torture and kill you, and it's someone else, and it's a whole, like, it's not someone else, it's their family. And all that manipulation, and their DNA just has the simple fact that they're even putting something in the open and talking about it doesn't fall in line. It's like if I'm walking around my house and there's like giant bite marks and claw marks in my couch. Am I going to think that's a mosquito? No. Why would I think that's a mosquito? Because the mosquito has never done that. I don't think the mosquito can do that. It's like them putting their symbols on everything to specifically identify, which leaves a trail for thousands of years. I mean, you can just look at the map and see where they came from, their pyramids, and you can see where the colonization has stopped as far as they could take it and shit. And except for sometimes it doesn't look like it ever was stopped anywhere. The story, I mean, obviously they're right in the story, but the story is they left those areas. But that's like America is supposedly all Swedish people, Swedish Nazis who genocided the Native Americans and are genociding the Chinese right now, and enslaving the Taiwanese, enslaving the South Koreans, enslaving Japan, enslaving the Middle East, bringing over West Africans on slave boats to sell. That's supposedly all Swedish people who did that. Yet there are no Swedish people in the United States, as far as I can see. So, not many who look much like them. Knew a couple blonde people who I think were natural blondes. And you know what? They didn't look Swedish. They had that Brillo hair and stuff like that. I don't think Swedish people have that. And the ones I do see over there, I see them because they're not being over there. They're being promoted in the media over here, which is KKK media, which tends to promote their own race only, as anyone. And that's why they're all the presidents, because their media only puts all the presidential candidates, generally, the media only puts their family members, their close family on TV and stuff. That's why half of Hollywood is them, but they're supposedly 2% of the world, which is not true. Just if they're like, what are they going to say? We're 50% of the world and we own and enslave the world, like in the open? They couldn't do that. A mosquito can't go around leaving large fucking claw marks and bite marks and taking chunks out of your furniture and stuff with every slash of its claw and bite of its jaw. It just can't do that. Again, like this pattern here, I don't think I'm seeing the other stuff, and that theory, what I'm seeing is the basis to reality. So nothing matters if you're not factoring in how fake this world is and stuff. You're far off from anything of value if you look at this world and you think this is this world. There's that wall, there's that ceiling, there's my flashing lights with different colors, and there's that oxygen I'm breathing in, and there's my lungs and my chest. If you think any of that is real, and there's not even a slight chance that all that stuff doesn't exist, then then everything you've ever thought and ever will think and ever will say is probably far, far off from any sort of factual reality upon the planet, because the lies start with immersing yourself in the illusion. It's here, and it happens this way. It's where it starts. So the rest of it, though, their symbol. Why is there symbol everywhere? Because for one thing in their entire existence that they've kept together for thousands of years, they've decided to keep one thing where they're not lying and manipulating constantly and deceiving. Somehow they could always not lie and deceive. They just chose to constantly they're doing it 99% of the time, and there's no way in hell they could keep up that facade for one thing, and the rest of it is just natural genetic program behavior, and the one thing just defies all reality. And be like if they magically started flying one day and stuff, just flapping their arms. Harvey Weinstein starts flapping his arms and flying through the sky and stuff. You wouldn't be like, oh shit, that's Harvey Weinstein. You'd be like, damn, that's some sort of alien. Because I don't give a shit if you've seen it was Harvey Weinstein. If you lived with him your whole life and then one day he left, he's like, check this out, I can fly. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's Harvey Weinstein. You'd be like, this is someone else, completely different person. And so one might assume that that's part of a storyline here. Is you have one group who's enslaved the planet and killed off most people. For some reason, they haven't killed off everyone, even though the stories are kind of easy to read because they're telling you generally someone else did something, but it's them doing it, right? Like they were enslaved by the Egyptians, yet they're the ones who worship the pyramid. If you were enslaved by someone, you're not going to... It's like the people out here fucking talking about these KKK cults. It makes it seem like Maybe you were never slaves. Maybe you were never slaves if you're willingly, worshiping their symbols and shit. And I see they obviously they force people to do that, right? I'm sure in Egyptian times they forced you to worship the pyramid and Ra and stuff. Just like these days you have to worship one of the 8 new Abrahamic religions, as if their pyramid wasn't their first one on record. And yeah, but it does start to discredit people when they're going around and be like, that's a good idea. We should worship them, especially when in the open these days something has changed and they have to act like they're free. People have to act like people have freedom these days. It's a little bit different. I mean, the internet is really more controlled, and that makes it more passive aggressive and more competent and complete of slavery, to be able to just have people sitting in their house and never leaving again so they can never talk. And then the Middle Eastern supremacists who own everything can just choose not to let things go out. Like, you never know. They might not like you talking about them being the KKK and enslaving the planet. Everyone who doesn't look like them for thousands of years. You never know. That could be a part of passive-aggressive Nazi terrorism. I don't know why I would think that Nazi terrorists would not like you, talking about them being Nazi terrorist vaginas, too. We're not talking about Nazi terrorists who are like, hell yeah, we fucking running things. Like, pay tribute to Caesar. You better pay your tribute. They don't run like that. It's more like if you say it, then someone's going to magically appear when you go outside with the Bible and tell you need to give them donations. And it's one of them. That is weird that they're, that the fakeness. So is that the reason why they can't tan? Because they're just they're shape shifting into this form, and it's the sun can't change it? Is that why they don't tan like humans do? Even though they're the palest of the pale, and that would mean they should tan and burn in a few seconds. The second that they go outside, their skin will be changed for life. There's almost no way. I mean, look at Mexico. Look at Mexico, California, Arizona. It's like those are like Mexican people colors, skin colors. How do you even live in Hollywood and not look like that? I just go. I drive down the road there and I change colors. I was worried I was going to freaking burn her or something, but I didn't. I definitely turned really bronze and stuff in one day. Yep. Well, keep supporting Middle Eastern supremacy too. People should stop fucking whining about that. Like I know it. Okay, so the Nazis they got to keep up their thing. Obviously, they used to enslave the Middle Easterners just because they are from there, look like they're from there, etc. Doesn't mean they didn't enslave people there. What did everyone they had built the pyramids they had brought from Africa, like they did when they came to USA and brought them from Africa? I mean, they do this shit to everyone. Do they even have allegiance to themselves? I mean, they're over there destabilizing the Middle East right now. They don't care about those people. They're gonna enslave them too and stuff, as long as it makes them feel good. Gives them a sense of pride and value and control over something. But yeah, that's crazy that these people are going around worshiping a Middle Eastern religion. No one's talking about it. It's all written out. I mean, it's so in the open that you just totally ignore it. They say That's who they are. They say their original homeland is in the Middle East, but then with that thing, they also have the lies saying that they were slaves in the Middle East, but they're alongside, they're combining all those symbols, the symbols saying that they're gods and people need to worship their race, but we weren't gods in Egypt's time, we were slaves, and then so they use the pyramid alongside that, signifying that they were indeed those people enslaved in the Middle East. Because you're not gonna, you just shouldn't talk to anyone if you're gonna go around with like, a Ku Klux Klan flag or something, and you're gonna be like, a black slave in a southern state, and you're not just doing that because you're scared of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just take it over in 200, you kill those people off, and 200 years later, you're like, yeah, I'm the real fucking Ku Klux Klan now. You wouldn't do that with the pyramid either. Like, supposedly that was real slavery and real, although all the images, they never drew people looking all pissed off, but they did draw people who look severely malnourished, so that's probably what everyone looked like. I think there's different reasons for why early cave art wasn't as detailed as modern stuff, because it almost doesn't make sense. They had more time to do art back then, and we have better art now. They spend less time on art now and do better art than people who, the only thing they could have possibly had time to do it. The only thing there was no TV, there's no fishing rods, there was no, they had to use nets, which was probably way faster than that. I don't even think they had nets during some of those periods of time. That had to be invented at some point in time. Actual cave paintings would have been when that's the only thing in the world there was the skin of tiger. So you have a piece of clothing, fur to wear as clothing. Once you invent clothing, once you invent a way to skin the tiger, and just banging on the cave wall and making cute little images, you would think everyone would have been a great artist. Nothing less than Van Gogh and stuff. Probably more like Louis Royo and stuff. I think he's using digital form, but then again, yeah, he's probably always been using digital to achieve like the best art. But still, you can draw pretty good and stuff these days and stuff. Just because you're not Louis Royo, there are people who still make pretty good illustrations and stuff. Anyways, yeah, so it's interesting. We just haven't allowed some Middle Eastern supremacists going around this place and stuff. And everyone just, I notice all the media I'm allowed to read from other countries, they don't talk about that. They don't. Maybe it's because they're ran by those people, but you would think the people who are being oppressed and enslaved by USA and Israel, you would think those people would be forced to know even more than I do, because no one has ever told me anything to my face about what's going on. Every American I've met loves going to war against whoever the TV tells them to, pretty much everyone. And sometimes they'll drop a little line of hatred towards the other people that's the TV hasn't even really, pounced on for a while and stuff. So like pretty much everyone I know has always been like, oh yeah, war. Like, I mean, one person it forced it brought into my life recently. That's like one of the first things they started talking about was like the wars going on, and it's like, is this what normal people talk about? Like, I'm a presidential candidate running for world leaders, so that's the only reason I talk about that stuff. But I wouldn't talk about it with Americans generally because they're all for it. And then why are they so obsessed with conquering land for Middle Easterners and Middle Easterner religions if they're not Middle Easterners? And why do they look like Middle Easterners who have mixed with Europeans if they're not Middle Easterners? Some of them don't even look like they've mixed with Europeans. They just look like really pale Middle Easterners, kind of like the Saudis do. Yeah, so there already is a there already is groups there that that have that pale skin, and as all I know is the people at the top who are sitting in their pyramids all day or whatever hut they have in that nation. Those people, like the leaders of the Sods, are as pale as the whitest, not the whitest cracker, I mean, but pretty close. They end up being a translucent gray, whereas some other people end up being like pink and stuff for some reason. Hiding out in the pyramids. Maybe it's probably got to do with the extreme heat and dry climate being combined with um, not being in the sun versus cold climate and being not in the sun. Or I don't know, it doesn't even make sense because sun looks kind of bright in some of the northern areas and stuff, and it's not like the sun is like 10, it's supposed to be like 9 times larger or something. Like when you go to California, the sun is at least 3 times larger than it is elsewhere. And that doesn't even make sense because you're nowhere near. If the sun were real, really, and space were real, then it couldn't become 3 times larger. That's not how math works. I don't shave off a little flick dust of this, and that little flick is you know massive all of a sudden in size. It's not how it works. In order to be 3 times larger, I set it out here. I would have to bring it, as far as my sight, or let's say I'm taking a picture. Take a picture of it right here. It's this size. If I want it to be 3 times larger, I bring it a lot closer, right? I don't just move it one little hair. And if it magically gets to this size where I can't even see around it because it's so large, then we're way closer than way over here where my eye doesn't even have to see it because it's so out of view. But yeah, that's for all the Middle Eastern supremacy worshippers out there. And you'll notice that those people too, like they're still like I think everyone I know is one of them. And because most people I know always say, for some reason, I don't know if they have to tell you or if they're just thinking about killing everyone else all the time, but generally everyone I know has talked to me about stuff like that at least once. Like like people who came around and shit, right? It's kind of expected that something that's on TV you would end up talking to like a family member repeating some on TV, or you being right there when it's on TV. But I don't watch TV, so if you're my friend, like we're never gonna have that moment in time where something's on TV and you're like, oh yeah, the war and stuff. But they generally bring it up within a few hours of knowing the person. I always thought that was odd. So apparently, that's like some big things in people's heads is conquest and colonizing the world, and you'll never know that. I don't. I don't think I don't think you get that idea because I mean we're in this place where everyone says they're not that way and they don't do those things and they would never do the stuff they did during 2020 when the government tells them to go kill and enslave people. Yet they were already doing that stuff and then they did do it when the government said to do it. So that passive aggressive, we are not we were the slaves of Egypt, but somehow we rule everything on the planet and never shown signs of actually being victimized, except for stories we make up about how we were victimized that don't add up to how you took control of those places. And it's like, why would we even complain if we were victimized? If we now own Germany, oh, they attacked us, and then someone somewhere killed them, and now we own it. And like, it's not even being victimized, dude. That's like, oh, like I don't consider myself victimized because little Joey killed himself near me. I mean, I consider myself victimized because they continued to harass and attack me and take my life from me when the little Middle Eastern supremacists tried to kill me. But I don't consider that initial stuff hostile at all. I mean, he's like assaulting me, but because it's so funny that he killed himself, right? Well, he was doing that. Like, I've never been like, oh, it's everything after that, $250,000 at these Middle Eastern supremacists, and they're claiming to be fucking Swedish people, United States government, the United States of Middle Eastern supremacists. That's what it should be called, because they aren't Americans and they aren't Europeans. But that helps them when they change their name. People are like, oh. And then they go genocide like the Native Americans, and they're like, oh, we're the Europeans. Like, hey guys, we're the Europeans, we're genociding the Native Americans. All right, I just thought I'd let you guys know we're doing it. See you guys later. And hey guys, we're the slaves of Egypt, and that's why we're leaving Egypt. We're packing up our gold bars here, and getting on our caravans, and we're gonna go up here to the pagans and tell them we were the slaves of Egypt, so they let us in. And they end up leaving that place and be like, "Hey guys, we're the Europeans. We're here to genocide you. I mean, be your friend." And oh yeah, we were enslaved over there in Europe, so we had to come over here. We had no freedom of religion. They didn't like us being our racial supremacist, Middle Eastern supremacy, and our child rape doctrine. So they kicked us out, but we're here to be friendly with you Native Americans. Just give us all your land and everything you own, and we have these Bibles for sale. Buy these Bibles, and if you read the Bible will tell you how you're supposed to act, and we'll get along just fine there. See you guys in hell.